Hey there guys, welcome to another Getting Personal. Today I want to discuss something different. It is the perception of what you see of yourself is not what others see. It's about topics around, let's be honest, your perception in yourself and how people see you, and you're in your head. Say you're thinking about how everyone sees you in the world, right? A lot of times it's almost it's almost a complete lie at times. I would say whatever you're thinking of what others actually think of you, believe it or not, there is a very different view of how others view you. And if you're up in your head, you're thinking a bunch of stuff, you're accelerating that thinking too. You're making it much more worse. You're pumping it up. You're increasing it and giving it more value. And this is something that you shouldn't be doing. You should be well aware of yourself and then be, well, if I have this perception of myself, which a lot of times your perception would be, you probably eat at yourself a little bit in the sense that you kind of cut yourself down a little bit too much than you'd like. And you have to remember that your perception of yourself is not what others see. So then don't project it, right? Have that inner monologue and separate it from the rest of the world. Have your sense of being in its kind of reality check, and just check yourself. You know, it's the thing where you have to assess everything that you're thinking, and your perception is pretty much, I would say majority of the time, it's kind of a lie, because you're basing things on your emotions and feelings and all that other fun stuff, right? And you're pushing it onto the world, but no one else can see that, right? It's like you would look at somebody and you think, well, that person's this or that, and they are just the polar opposite of what you think of them, right? So next time you judge somebody, just think the opposite, right? You think, oh, their life is great. Probably it's not that great. It's fundamentally, you have that like grass is greener thing. And when your perception of yourself in the world is fundamentally either too skewed in one direction, like too ego, and then too actually punching yourself down and being really depressed, you have to then kind of just learn to meet yourself in the middle. Bring yourself into a point of rational as much as you can. And that's going to be really tricky. But that's where just being mindful of yourself and checking yourself. And if you wake up and you just have a sense of, you can have a sense of self-doubt sometimes. These things will often be inflated by your thoughts that can run. And believe it or not, just reframe them. Just take a step back, relax. Majority of things are okay. Majority of things are just fine. Nothing's going to attack you, nothing at all, right? And so if your perception is always this kind of a lie to yourself, just remember that next time you're doubting yourself, or next time you feel like you can't achieve something, or someone might not like you, or the way that you kind of find yourself looking at yourself in the mirror, you might not like yourself, and just be, hey, that's not how others see me. The perception of how I see myself is completely different to how others see me. And just have that. Just go, well, I'm going to cut myself some slack. I'm going to pull back the reins. I'm not going to control so much of my emotions towards myself, and just step back and just give up a little bit. Give up. Just be like, in the sense of like, I'm just going to give up on caring. Just in that sense of what others might think of me, or the sense of like how harsh you could be on yourself. Because once you start taking a step back, things start flowing. Things start kind of agreeing, right? You need to let things go and flow, right? And so your perception of the world is never, ever what you think of it. Like, the other people aren't perceiving your emotions and feelings. They don't know anything about you. Just like, go in with a default mindset. Just flow with it. Don't take your emotions and feelings into something. Take yourself out of it, because it will ruin things, right? If you want to work on something, work on a project, you really want to take your sense of self out of it, right? You don't want to be bringing all your crap into it, because you all got to work together on something. And that's just the worst thing you can do. Be present for the project and realize what the project has, not what you are thinking and feeling and all that crap. It's just like, let it go, right? And just realize that your perception of what a person looking at you, and you're sitting there and you're face to face, and you're looking at that person, you're like, they can't see all that stuff inside of your head. Just remember that, right? So then be present. I'm going to completely be present. I'm going to listen to the words that they are saying. Take it in, absorb it, and just be present. And something nice will happen. Trust me. You'll get a good feeling from it. You'll feel happier. You'll get something more out of the conversation with that person too. Believe it or not. Because there's nothing like being in your own head while you're talking to somebody, and then on top of that, you're probably just waiting your turn to talk, right? And this person subconsciously knows this. And a lot of times when we talk to one another, we're just kind of like waiting our turn. But being present and listening to the words, however you want to sit and do that, you then become more present, and your perception starts to dissolve. Your perception of how you perceive yourself in the world will dissolve, right? And then you're just like that person who is present. And then you will start attracting more and more people into your life, because you're present. People are just attracted to you because when you pay attention to them, you pay attention to them, and you give something that other people can't give them, is attention, right? And that's the biggest thing. That's like it's almost like the best gift you could give somebody is your attention, right? Because we are so preoccupied with things and so drawn to other things that are flashy and like take our attention away. And to be present and out of your own perception is like the best gift you can give anyone, right? Not thinking how you can get something from something, or blah, 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 or you want this, or you feel that you need this, or just whatever crap. Just let it go. Let's just see what happens. I mean, like, you could even just try a whole month of this, right? Practicing completely being present for other people, right? And I guarantee you'll feel happier, because we have that part of us where human communication is really underrated, right? You don't have to absorb people's problems. You can still just listen, right? Listening is like the best skill you could ever have as a person, because it allows you to be present. And that's something that if you don't listen, you'll miss a lot in life. Like, everything's listening, right? If you think about it, always listening for this, always listening for that. But you should never be swayed by people or let people change your mind on things. You should always make your own choices. But having your perception and then what you are then walking around with, thinking of self-doubt, or your ego is too inflated, these things can be dangerous. You always want to have a very healthy perception of yourself. You want to be that person who's not kind of punching themselves up, or they're not like too high on their own self, because then no one's going to be really kind of gravitating towards you. So really, I just wanted to discuss why our perception can be a lie, right? It can be dangerous, it can corrupt us, or it can just hold us back, right? It's a crazy thing, because what you see through your eyes and what you take in with your brain is just completely different to how other people take in things. Their conditioning is so different. People have gone through so much more than you, or not gone through anything, right? So then when you talk to them, there's just like this they're in another perceived reality, right? So the way they perceive you could be like, well, they look at you as this higher person, but then you look at yourself as a lower person. You could be like that. And it's like this weird kind of perception battle. And it's a very odd thing to think about. And realistically, we're really all on the kind of same wavelength, because we're all going through the same emotions and the ups and downs and all these things. And it's a lot of the, you can't get away from the human condition, right? You're feeling anxiety, you're feeling depression, you're feeling all these things. But one thing in life is just don't trust your perception. Get out of it a little bit. Take a step back. Just think of, last time you've done something that was maybe like stupid, or like you're just mean to somebody, or you're just missed something that someone was saying, because you're probably more likely just overlooking things in your life. But just to get back to the main topic at hand, is just don't trust your perception, because what your perception is a bunch of habits, memories, hormonal responses to the world, environmental things, and you're going through these things realizing that it's a funny world that we live in. Really funny world, right? And if you're ever really feeling down on yourself, just take a step back, have a look, and just see what your perception is presenting you with, right? See what it's kind of unveiling to you. Because you want to be like, well, if I'm really doubtful of myself and my abilities, you're probably actually playing those things up a little bit too much. And you just need to take a step back, let things flow a bit, and see you for you, right? And kind of take the veil off for once in your life. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. I hope you get something out of this. And until next time, guys, like and subscribe, and take care.